Hey guys, and welcome to another video. So some of you guys have been interested in how do you upload an audiobook to ACX. So I'm going to walk you guys through that, so I'm not even going to waste any time. Let's get right into it. So I have something else going on here, so ignore that screen. But basically when you come on, you're going to make your account, do everything you need to do, which is kind of confusing, but because it took me a while to figure out ACX's platform, but I've already created an account, so I'm not going to walk you guys through that process. But once you get your account created, then there should be an option. I have 6 projects right now because I have 6 books up here, so there should be an option for you to be able to, you'll probably have 0 here, so you should be able to add your title. So you're going to go to add your title, and then there should be a search bar, so you search for your name and your book title. Now be sure to search for both your name and your book title, because you probably won't find your book without it. So it's not really you uploading your book, it's honestly you finding your book. So as you can see, some of my other books are on here. There's some other books on here in the search, but you scroll down, Hunter Valiant, book 1, this is my book. So you are claiming Hunter by Joanna White, so you choose how you prefer to produce your audiobook. So there's 2 options here. I'm looking for someone to narrate and produce my audiobook. Select this if you don't have a narrator. I already have audio files for this book and I want to sell it. So this is what you can choose if you've narrated it yourself, or if you've already hired a narrator to do it on another platform like Fiverr. So those are the 2 options you could do. If you want to pay for your audiobook outright, you could hire them through ACX and still choose this option. You could also hire somebody on another site like Upwork or Fiverr to do that for you. So it's up to you whether you can afford to pay the money up front, or whether you're going to need to pay or do the royalty share, which I'll talk you guys through too. So this is also for people who need to do this on a budget and need to be able to produce an audiobook for free. Alright, so I'm looking for someone to narrate and produce my audiobook, so I'm going to click continue. So I've personally done the Valiant books out of order because back when I was published under Ambassador International, Hunter was the first and only Valiant book to get an audiobook, and so there was a lot of legal stuff that I had to go through in order to get the audiobook rights back for Hunter, even though I've had the rights to the whole Valiant series back for well over a year now. It was a very legal issue to get Hunter back, so that's why I went ahead with Shifter and Samurai and Assassin. So those 3 are being produced right now by other narrators. Quick thing, if you have a series, if you use the same characters throughout the entire series, you're going to want to pick one narrator to do them all, typically. My book series has different characters and different worlds throughout the series in each book, so that's why I'm getting different narrators, but that's not highly recommended. So the posting agreement, you basically agree to that, read it through if you want to, click agree and continue. So this is where you're going to fill out all the information. So describe your book for the Audible retail page. So this is basically the synopsis. So I'm going to make sure I have my disc plugged in, and I'm going to basically fill that in. So I'm going to grab the synopsis from Amazon. I keep this on my cruiser, but I don't have that plugged in right now. So just easy to it's easier to grab it from Amazon. So I like to replace it because this is like all jumbled up together and messed up and stuff. So you want to make sure that there's proper spacing and that it's not messed up or anything. Read it through for some typos if you want to. Copyright information. So this is going to be you. Let's see, when did this book come out? 2021. Oops. So basically the print copyright year is the year it was published. It's automatically copyrighted if you're the one that wrote it and published it. So the audio copyright owner is also you. I would hope so. Your book is fiction or nonfiction. And then you're going to choose the best category for your book. So there's lots of here. So mine's science fiction and fantasy. Mine's fantasy. Do you want to receive auditions for this project? So basically what you want to do is, if you know what narrator you want and you've already talked to them prior to uploading your book, then you would click no. I'm assuming since you're doing it this way and following my tutorial and stuff, that you need to find a narrator and have not already done so. So you're going to click yes. So what this is going to do is, after all this is done, once you upload, you're going to upload like a little sample of your book, the first couple pages, and narrators are going to audition to narrate that book, and then you're going to narrow down those auditions and pick the narrator that you want, which I will go over in a different book, in a different video as well, because picking the right narrator is a whole separate process. This video is specifically teaching you how to upload your videos to ACX, which, by the way, it is acx.com, just for clarification. So this is when you're going to describe what narrator's voice you want to have. So I would suggest not getting too picky, and the best thing to do to start off with, and I learned this by making a mistake, is you want to not be as specific if you can. So male, female, both. Depends on if you want a male or female narrator. Now, I prefer a male for Hunter, but I am potentially hoping to find a studio that does both male and female, since it is dual narration, but we'll see. And so I'm going to take auditions from both, even though my preference is going to be male. So you're going to select your language. Now this is going to be if you want a specific accent. I prefer an American accent. The voice age. The only reason why I'm selecting this one is because I got some elderly people for some auditions, and the voice was way too old, so you might want to clarify the voice age that you want for your narrator. I would leave your vocal style off, but you can if you have a specific one in mind for your book. Again, the less specific you are, the more auditions you will receive. When I first uploaded Samurai, I was very specific with English speaking, Japanese accent, and I got no auditions. I got like maybe 1 or 2, I think, and I had to re-upload it several times, getting more vague each time. So this is like your additional comments that you have here. So this is when you're going to basically give them advice, direction. If you have characters in the first sample scene that you're going to upload, which would be the first couple pages typically, then you're going to give them, hey, this character sounds like this character has this type of personality, this is what the book is about, that sort of thing. So I'm going to write this up for Hunter real quick, and we'll go over we'll go over this in just a minute. Okay, so keep in mind that this is your additional comments for the book itself. And so if you want to, you can also talk about like any success that your series has had, your marketing plan, so that the narrators, especially if you're going to do royalty share, you need to reassure your narrators that the book is going to sell and that you're going to do your best to sell the book. Do not use ACX and put your books up on here and use royalty share just to get a narrator narrating your book for free if you're just going to leave the book up and not actually make any efforts toward marketing it. Now, if you try to market it and it's not selling, that's not your fault, but do not try to use their hard work and not actually try to sell the, any books, basically. So this is your notes. I went into a little bit more detail because I'm very picky and I'm looking for something very specific. At the end, you can kind of mention any marketing plans that you have and stuff. So the Valiant series is a 17-book series, plus extra shorts and companions. And it was a series on featured dealer and thousands of reads and fans per book. So that's the one accomplishment that I have for the Valiant series, so I'm tagging that on the end so that people will be interested. So this is your audition script. So basically this is going to be 2 to 3 pages. I would do no more than 2, if that, because when I did 2, I think I did 2.5 pages for Samurai, and it was like 15 minutes. You do not want it to be 15 minutes. It should be up to 5 minutes for your audition, so you really don't want it to go any longer. So I would suggest 1 to 2 pages. You're going to upload 1 to 2 pages. Now this can be and should be probably the first chapter, prologue, or introduction, but you can also add on additional things if you want to hear. Like for me, I need to know that the narrator, if he's a male, is going to be able to do Averella's voice, and if he's going to be able to do Averella when she's herself, being a natural woman in her natural voice, and later on in the book when she deepens her voice to try to sound like a man. If I get a female narrator, I'm still going to need to know if she can do Jared's voice. I'm going to need to know if she can do Averella's regular voice, and then Averella deepening her voice to sound like a man. So I need to know specific things from my narrator. So if you have, for instance, a suspenseful part and you want to make sure the narrator can capture that, put it in your audition. If there's a specific character you want to make sure they know how to voice, put it in your audition. Don't jump around too much, but if there's anything specific in your book that you want to look for in your narrator, put that here, so that way you can make sure that your narrator can do those things before you even get to the contract part of everything. So I'm just going to include some notes here, which was again about Jared's voice, Averella's voice, and all that stuff, and then I'm going to upload the audition script and get it ready. Okay, so again, I basically just included information about Jared, Averella, and then her voice deepening, and then mentioned that there's multiple male characters, so I need a narrator who can make the voices of the hunters and prisoners unique. And then I explained that the audition is a bit from chapter 1, so I can see how you do with Jared and Averella's voices, and then I included a small scene at the end so I can listen to how you do Averella's disguised voice. So now I'm going to get that ready. So basically what you do is you go to your book and you pull up your book in Word or Scrivener or whatever you use. Now, I don't mess with any of the formatting, any of that stuff. You will when you give them the full script, but for the sake of the audition, you just want to grab the important bits. So I'm going to grab chapter 1, Jared's first perspective, Averella's first perspective, and I'm going to go, let's see, how many pages is this? Okay, 1. Well, that's a little bit, these are more pages because of my formatting, so I'm just going to grab this real quick, and then you're going to want to paste this in a new document, so that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do Times New Roman and 12 font, so that way I can squeeze more merge formatting. Okay, so later that night, Gabriel was in bed lying asleep. That's kind of where it cuts, so I'm going to cut that, and then I'm going to do another one of those cuts, and then I'm going to go back into Hunter, and I'm going to grab, the problem is that with this instance, every scene that has Averella disguising her voice has multiple characters in it, and I don't want to overwhelm the narrators right away, but on the other hand, this is meant to, you know, test them, but at the same time I don't want to confuse people either because I am jumping scenes. I think I'm going to tag on that line. I don't suggest you ever do what I'm doing now, but I need this specifically. So basically I would suggest just doing the prologue in chapter 1. I'm breaking my own rules, but you want it to be pretty simple. But basically include anything that you want to make sure your narrators get, because you want to make sure that you know this stuff before you accept a narrator, get into a contract with them, and then hear something that you don't like, or find out that they can't do something that you needed them to be able to do. So essentially I just did chapter 1. I did Jared, which mine also has Averella. I didn't make it too long, so I could have done it, but it would have been a whole nother page longer. So then I personally made a note. I've never done this before. I would suggest you don't do that. But I've, at this point, done 3 and producing 3 audiobooks, so I figured I'm going to break a few rules here, and this is just because I need to know what they sound like as Averella's disguised voice before I get into contracts with anybody. So then after that, you're going to save this, because you're probably going to want to keep this, and I title it, your book title, audiobook sample, is what I title it. So I'm just going to scan through, make sure it's all good. I'm still hesitant about my note, but I'm hoping that the narrators will get it. So basically then you go here to browse, and so you, Hunter's audiobook sample, so you click browse, upload. It'll scan for viruses, and it'll take a bit. Don't continue. Do not click continue immediately. Give it a bit. Yeah, it won't work sometimes, so you just gotta wait a bit for it to get done, like fully uploading and everything. All right, there. And now you can click continue. All right. So basically all this is saying is that chapter names will be automatically create placeholder for the audio file in Production Manager. So essentially when your narrator reads chapter 1, they upload it to this where it says chapter 1, and so on and so forth. So you want to make sure that you get your chapter titles correct, and there's very specific things to go over here. So you're going to start entering chapter names. Now I'm going to import table of contents from Kindle. That makes it easier, but essentially you want to make sure that you add in opening credits, which is like a title page, but it gets read at the beginning of the book, and then you're going to do a closing credits. You want to take out, if you have a sneak peek of your next book, take that out. I have short stories at the end of mine, so you want to make sure that you take that out and everything. So you just want to make sure that it's all good, because they'll be uploading the audio files for each of these individually in the audiobook. Your auditions won't. This is specifically for once you choose your narrator, then the narrator that you choose once you sign the contract will do this. So I'm going to save and continue. So how many words are in your book? So obviously you're going to need to pull up your ebook, 98,168. So 98,168. This is so they can calculate approximately how long it's going to read, basically. So I own world rights. How would you like to distribute your audiobook? So this is very important. Exclusive distribution through Audible, Amazon, and iTunes. This means that you can only release your audiobook here on ACX and through ACX. That means you can't sell it in your website. You can't post samples, as far as I'm aware. I have to check on that. You cannot upload it to any other audiobook selling site except for ACX. If you want to be able to sell it elsewhere on other ACX, on other audiobook sites, click non-exclusive. On that one, you do get less royalty, so you only get 25%. If you're exclusive to them, you get 40% royalty. But here's the thing. In order for you to pay your narrator, you either can pay for it outright, in which case you just pay the price outright and everything, and it would basically cost certain narrators would be paid per finished hour, so they'll be like $200 per finished hour, $300 per finished hour, and so mine is going to be 10 hours, so you calculate that 200 times 10, basically, so that would be $2,000. If you cannot afford that, you could do royalty share. So what royalty share is, you can either do royalty share plus or just royalty share only. Royalty share plus means that you are doing royalty share, but you add on a fee, but it's not going to be as big as paying the whole thing outright. It'll probably be about half. Royalty share basically means that they will get 20% of your royalties from the audiobook every time it sells, just like you. So you'll get less royalties that way, but you don't have to pay anything up front. And if you're selling your book, you know, then it's a good option. That's the only one I can do. But in order to be royalty shared, you have to be exclusive through Audible. You cannot be non-exclusive if you're doing royalty share. Why this is, I don't know. It's just them being selfish, I think. But basically, if you want to do royalty share, you can produce your audiobook totally for free. You don't have to pay anything out of pocket, but your audiobook will be stuck on ACX for as long as the contract is. In the first part of the contract, it is a 7-year contract, just to let you know. But again, you can do royalty share plus. I think even with that, you still have to be exclusive. So the only way to be non-exclusive is to pay for the whole production outright, which I don't have the money for that. So basically, you select which one you want, save and continue, and therefore it is all ready to go. So you want to double check your information. Fiction, English, male or female, adult, American, blah, blah, blah. Comments from the rights holder, and it has everything. So now that you're reviewing posting, you want to now that you have reviewed your book information and everything else, you have all the info here, you want to post to ACX. And now it's up on ACX. It's not up yet, so basically they have to review it and then they'll approve it, and once it's approved it'll be listed on ACX and you can start your auditions for your narrators will start coming in. So once that happens, I will walk you through that in another video. I hope that this has helped you go through the process of uploading your book on ACX. I know it can be intimidating, but it's really simple once you figure it out. So I hope this helped you. If it did, please hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe for more writing and reading videos every Monday. And if you want something else to check out, please check out this video here about the mistakes to avoid when releasing and publishing your audiobook. You really don't want to make these mistakes that I made, so take it from me, watch this video, and learn what to avoid.